going to talk about the parts of the instrument. The reason why the parts of the instrument are important is because you need to know the parts of the instrument whenever we're having class. So for example, if I say, put your fingers on the fingerboard, this is what I mean. But if you don't know where the fingerboard is, you can't put your fingers on the fingerboard. This black part right here, it is not one piece of wood with this. It is a separate piece of wood. It is called the fingerboard. That's this right here. Say fingerboard. And that's written up here on the board. Say fingerboard. Really, do it. It'll help you. Okay, this thing on top here is like an old-fashioned book. If you look at it from the side, you can kind of tell that. If you take that old-fashioned book and you want to roll it and look like this, you know what I'm talking about? This thing you go like this with, it is called, you know it? It starts with an S. The scroll. S-C-R-O-L-L. Alright, next we have these things right here, which we already talked about. The bass does not have these, but all the other instruments have these. These are called the pegs. Say pegs. All they are these little pieces of wood that we stuck in there that are cut. They're actually cut to the right size and stuck in there. The only thing holding there is tension. Those are called the pegs. Next, we have this thing right here. The pegs go into this. In fact, pegs, it's this little thing right here that all the pegs are going into. The pegs go into this. In fact, peg is the first part of the word this is called. So this is like one of those things you get from Amazon maybe. It is a box. This is called the peg box. Peg box. So think Amazon. Peg box. Write that on the board for you. Next, we have probably the simplest of all of them. Those right there. I'm not even going to tell you what those are called because I bet you already know. Those are called the strings. Okay, there's one little part that the strings are going over right here. It's a tiny little piece of wood. Actually not glued down at all. It's just barely going over there. That is called, it's got a funny nerd. It's like a funny word. If you think of like a squirrel, squirrels walking around, what are they looking for on the ground? What do they eat? Yeah, it's that. It's a nut. N-U-T, just like the food that you eat, the legume that you eat. It's called the nut. All right. Next, you have this part right here. We're going to go with these right here. These are just like on your body. You have these as well. What are these things called on your body? This is a pretty easy one. These are called the shoulders. Oops. S-H-O-U-L-D-E-R-S. Okay. After the shoulders, we have this thing right here that comes out of the shoulders. Okay? You know what this is called? Give it a guess. Yep, you're right. It's the neck. So pretty easy. None of this stuff is very complicated. Say neck. Okay? After that, we're going to chase the strings all the way down here to this right here. This is like you use this to go over water or over a stream. You can kind of see the strings kind of go over it. That kind of helps me remember. This is called the bridge. B-R-I-D-G-E. Okay. Next we have these things. They kind of look like a letter S, but actually if you look right here, there's a little dash right there. So it actually looks like a different letter. You know what letter that is? It's a cursive one. It's an F. All right, and then what these are is like an actual hole on the top of the instrument. This is called the F hole. Literally spelled F dash hole. All right, down inside of there, I don't know if you can see it, but what that is, it's a little post that takes the sound and it transfers it from the top of the instrument. I can't tell from the video. If I make the video the other way so I can see myself, then those words will be backwards, so I can't tell. But if you look down inside there, there's a little post. Hopefully you can see it. It takes the sound, it transfers the sound to the back of the instrument and back out of the F holes. It is called the sound, and I said another word before, post. It's the sound post. All right. So next we have these things right here. These make small adjustments or fine adjustments, and they make fine adjustments to the tension of the strings. So like these, they make large adjustments. What are these called again? That's right, they're the pegs. These make small adjustments. They make fine adjustments. They are called the fine tuners. So these right here, fine tuners. We're going to talk about how to turn those later. Okay, so after the fine tuners, we have this piece right here. All right, and this is like one of the things that comes out of the back of your dog. If you have a dog that he wags when he's happy, surely you've seen a dog before, so you know what these look like. All right, so its tail is the first part of the word, and then it's just kind of a piece of wood. That's how I think of it. So it's the tail piece. Tail piece. It's this right here. Okay, only a couple more left here. This one right here, only the violin and viola have that. Just the violin and viola have this thing right here. It is called the chin rest. And it's actually not really correct because your jaw goes in there. All right, but we call it the chin rest. And you think like a cello and bass couldn't possibly have one of these. Because a cello and bass have one of those, you have to go like this because the cello and bass are so big. Again, that is called the chin rest. There's a little spot on the bottom of the violin. And it looks like a little one of these things you have on a shirt. I'm not wearing one with it today, but some shirts, like you'll see me at school most days wearing a shirt that has these on there that keeps the shirt closed. They are called what? That's right, buttons. All right, and this is not on the beginning of the instrument. It's on the end of the instrument. So this is called the end button. End button. And that is E-N-D B-U-T-T-O-N. Okay, this is the end button. So that is all the instruments on the violin and viola. Now, and guess what, violins, violas, you need to know these too, even though they're applied to the cello bass. There are also instruments or parts on the cello bass that the violin and viola does not have. Actually, there's just one, but there's also some things that come with it that they don't have. So this thing right here is on the end. Here's the beginning of the cello. Here's the end of the cello. It's on the end of the cello, and it's like one of those things that you write with, and it comes out of the bottom of the cello. All right, this is called the end, and like one of those things you write with. Pen, but it's spelled differently. It's spelled P-I-N, like one of the things you poke somebody with. Hopefully you don't poke anybody with, but you can use to, let's say, hold a paper on a pegboard. So that's the end pen. Only the cello and bass have an end pen that comes out of the bottom so that they can rest it on the floor. And let's pretend like I'm sitting down. They can play while sitting down. So that is the end pen. The violin and viola would not need one of these because it would poke you in the neck. It hurt. All right. Two more things. These things. Okay. Only the violin and viola has one of these. This goes on, excuse me, the back of the instrument. I haven't adjusted this one. There we go. This one goes on the back of the instruments. It should always look like a frowny face and it's on right, but we'll talk about that another time. And it goes on your shoulder. It rests on your shoulder. It is called the shoulder rest. So this is the shoulder rest, and it helps you hold the instrument. You absolutely, if you play violin or viola, and only violin viola, you must have one of these things right here, the shoulder rest. Okay, lastly, we have this thing right here. Only the cello and bass need one of these. It goes on the floor, and the end pen rests right in there. All right, this is called, it stops the end pen from moving, and it's like a rock. We call this the rock stop. That's what I call it. Some people call it other things like end pen stop. We're going to call it the rock stop. Actually, rock stop is technically wrong, but I like to call it the rock stop because that's what I've always called it. So this is the rock stop. Cellos and basses, you need one of these because if you're on a slick floor, it doesn't have carpet, this keeps your end pen from moving around. That's the rock stop. All right, guys, I think that's basically it for all of our parts of the instrument. Oh, I forgot one. This thing right here. It looks like the letter C. Looks like the letter C. And what's that all about? It's the C bout. Okay, so that's called the C bout. Let me write those last three on here. Shoulder rest. That's the thing. That goes on your shoulder. C bout. C-B-O-U-T, just like about. C bout. And of course, what is that? That's the rock stop. And even if you're a violinist, violist, or a cello bassist that doesn't use the shoulder rest or rock stop, you need to know those because you might see them laying on the floor. You want to go, Mr. Wilson, I think he's on the floor because I don't know what that is. You got to tell me the rock stop's on the floor so I know to pick it up. All right, that's it, guys, and hope to get to see you guys soon.